New this morning, President Trump says he recently had an MRI during a visit to Walter Reed, calling the results perfect.
The full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yeah.
Did you say what in particular they were?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us, but I think they gave you a very conclusive. Nobody has ever given you reports like I gave you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively, I wouldn't run, I'd do something. But the doctor said some of the best reports for the age, some of the best reports they've ever seen.
At 79, Trump is one of the oldest presidents in U.S. history. The White House hasn't explained why the president had an unusual second exam this year. But over the summer, doctors said Trump was treated for leg swelling. We saw some of that in photos, and diagnosed with a circulation issue called chronic venous insufficiency. Joining me now, CNN medical analyst Dr. Jonathan Reiner. Most of us do not get an MRI as part of a normal physical. Aren't they typically used to detect things like strokes and aneurysms and tumors? I mean, do you have any clues as to why the president would have gotten an MRI?
You're right, Sarah. It's not part of a routine screening examination. There's been really a lack of candor coming from the White House about this. When they announced that the president would visit Walter Reed at the beginning of this month, they initially said it was for his annual checkup. But when they were reminded that that's not due until April, they said, okay, it's for a routine semi-annual checkup. But just physical exams are done in the White House. The White House has a prodigious testing capacity. And the president and vice president go to Walter Reed for testing that is not available at the White House, something like a CT or, as we now hear, an MRI. The big question is, what prompted his MRI? So what symptoms were they concerned about? What particular type of MRI was performed? Was it a brain MRI? Was it a cardiac MRI? Was it an MRI of his spine, of his prostate? What prompted a concern that would take him in a relatively unscheduled way to Walter Reed for this testing? Why didn't they tell us that? Why didn't they disclose that he was tested when Dr. Barbarella issued his report after the president's visit? And now, why won't they tell us exactly what was tested, why the testing was performed, and the results? I think without that, then there's really no trust.
I do want to ask you whether it could have anything to do with the bruising that we saw in photos of the president's hands, or the swelling of his legs, of his sort of ankles. Could an MRI be used to try to detect what is causing that?
Perhaps not, for the bruising itself. Typically, when I see bruising on the back of someone's hands, and I see this every week in clinic, it's typically in somebody who's on a blood thinner, but we've not been told that the president is taking a blood thinner. But you take a blood thinner for a variety of underlying conditions, things like atrial fibrillation, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis. None of that has been disclosed to the public. And for some of those conditions, one might end up getting an MRI. So I think the problem is that once there's lack of candor for one part of a patient's evaluation, it then becomes difficult to sort of backtrack and tell us the truth about a current issue. I think the best step now would be simply for the White House, explain why you tested the president. The president said the results were great, and that's fabulous. And that'll be very reassuring for the public. But when you hide things from the public, people will typically imagine conditions that are much worse than the truth. So the truth is the truth. Just tell the public what's going on with the president.
Good advice there, Dr. Jonathan Reiner. Thank you so much. Speaking of things